What's happening, all you late night owls? Welcome back to the cafe. Thanks for jumping back in here tonight, guys. We're running a little something different tonight. Thanks to one of my other producers and amazing people, Miss Salty. She dropped something on me yesterday. I thought you guys would really enjoy hearing, and it would explain some things. It kind of relates to Sebastian Rogers' case in some ways, and I thought it was a very interesting piece that I thought everybody would definitely be interested in seeing. So we're going to be going through that tonight and a couple other things and doing our late night stuff that we do. So I appreciate you all jumping in here. As we do this, grab a seat, get comfortable, and make sure that you hit that darn work, guys. Share this out to anybody you think would want to hear this, please, if you will. I appreciate it. And let's get it on the road. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Hello. Welcome back, everybody. Great to see you tonight. And I thank you all for joining us as we delve into another one of our late shows with the Dago. So come on in and grab a seat, grab your drinks, your coffee, your tea, whatever it may be. Please come in and have a conversation with me. Hopefully, I'll have a couple of my guests in here with me tonight. Guys, if you saw the live go up, I screwed up and put it for tomorrow. I forgot to hit PM, so please ignore that. It doesn't really matter since we're live in here now. So let's see here. I should be being joined by a couple awesome ladies. I love being surrounded by the awesome ladies that I have in here. I'm very lucky. Very, very lucky guy. So hopefully they'll see that they're invited as well. Just left another awesome stream from Salty True Crime, going over some more of those documents in the Madeline Soto case. Very interesting stuff, guys. I wish I could have seen more of you guys in there. You're going to want to hear this stuff. So please, you got to check it out when you can. Oh, and there is one of them. Welcome, Miss Kimberfoot. Good to see you tonight. Oh, sorry, Miss Kimber. Good to see you tonight. That just happens now.
It's a
Um,
Kimberfoot.
yes, it's another Kimberfoot sighting, folks. Welcome, Miss Kimberfoot. Good to see you tonight. I was hoping that Mina Monsters would join me as well. I always love when Mom's up here with us.
I do too. She's here, I think.
Well, I'm her her link is in the Discord. Um,
Oh,
she may
she'll
not
join
watch it.
us.
She might be tired. I did see the email, Terry, and I will get to that. I just want to roll through my things here real quick, like I do, and we'll get rolling. There again is the link for Salty, guys. You got to check it out. You're missing out when you're not over there. I'm telling you right now. So I got to tell you, it's a great show. It really is. There's a great bunch of people in there, a great panel. Salty is amazing with what she does. And I'm just always super excited when I'm over there, especially when they bring me up on the panel with them again. There she is. There is Mom.
Mommy.
Thank you for joining us, Mom. Always love having you here.
Yes, we had a really good live
Hello.
at
Thank
Salty's
you. I
tonight.
just about had a heart attack.
What'd you say?
My pit bull. I just about had a heart attack. My pit bull is not pet friendly, so he has his own room. And I just went to open his door, and he's standing there at the door. I thought a bagooger done got in the house.
Wow, who?
A
A
bagooger.
bagooger?
A
Mhm.
bagoo. Don't
What is
even ask. The
what is
bagooger story is definitely not for public
It
chat.
is not family friendly, but no, a
It's
bagooger
not
is
family
anything
friendly.
I can't tell what it is in the dark. That's a
oh,
bagooger.
so it's a bagooger. Okay, I love it.
It's a
That's
A
awesome.
bagooger
bagooger is anything she can't tell, or a duck.
or a
A
duck.
duck or a
But a
bagooger?
bagooger.
Yeah, a
What if
duck is
it
a
Ducks are
what if
bagooger.
bagoogers.
what if it's both? What if it's a bagooger duck?
It's a
The
bagooger.
original bagooger was a duck.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, then. I love these words and these terms. I love the South. I'm telling you, that's why I married a woman from the South. You guys, the South is amazing. The terms, the phrasing of everything, it's amazing to me. My mother-in-law says the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my life, but they make a lot of sense.
Well,
What's the one thing she says? It all. What time is it? Something up a buck's tail, threw around at something's ass. I'm like, what? But it's hilarious. I can't remember what she says. Um, quarter past of something, something, something. But it's definitely something I hear down there all the time. But I love the South. I don't know why I was born up here, why I live up here, but I love it. Oh, I know why. Because of the damn heat. That's why. Yep.
no, my husband, we had talked about moving back to Ohio when we first got married,
Mm-hmm.
and he said he would never move back to Ohio because of the cold, because he's like, I pumped gas when it was like 30 below zero. He said I had rather have 98-degree heat with a 110-degree index than I had ever live in minus 30-degree weather again.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't. I think Mother Nature forgot about Ohio with the cold weather because we ain't been getting it, guys.
Yeah,
We had
he said they're gonna have some really hot weather in Ohio. They ain't gonna know what to do.
we've had it. Past 5 years, it's been like today. I went outside and I started melting, literally melting. It was that hot. Okay. I had to get a shovel to get out my back door to cut through the humidity. It was that damn bad. I'm sick of this already.
It's gonna
Um,
be 99 here Saturday.
yep, I know. It was 96 today with 92% humidity today. I'm done with
It's
this. It's time for Christmas. I'm done.
I worked a yard sale with my friend on Saturday with my best friend from high school, and her sisters. Of course, her sisters are older than us, so that's how we always got alcohol in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, and me and my best friend from high school are still best friends. And we worked a yard sale because she has a yard sale every year to benefit fur babies. So we worked that yard sale, and I'm gonna tell you what, all day Sunday I laid around on the couch. We raised over $1,000, which was good, but it's not
Awesome.
usually what she raises. She usually raises like $3,500, but it's not what she didn't raise what she usually raises. But
Mm-hmm.
it was so freaking hot.
We do. We have a pool, a Raven. I don't even like to go in the damn pool when it's this hot. I'd rather just sit right in here, where the air is running and I can breathe. Right,
When you
Florida.
get in the
I know.
pool and it's a sauna, it's not worth it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You get in the pool and it's like being in a hot tub, folks. What the hell? Or taking a bath. Well, I can do that inside my house. I don't need that. So
Oh, I don't get nowhere. No, there's no chiggers. Mm-mm. They got them Queen Anne's lace down here. And everybody goes, "Oh, those are called." People from the north go, "Those are Queen Anne's lace." I'm like, those are chiggerweeds.
what? I
Those are
don't know what the
chiggerweeds.
hell you're talking about on either side. I ain't never heard of neither one of them.
Mom knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they're little
Chigger?
fluffy white flowers that
They
if
look
you
like
go,
little white. They got little white flowers on them. They look like little
Mhm.
fluffy white flowers, and we call them chiggerweeds.
Do they stick to your
chiggerweed.
socks?
No,
No,
those
that's
are
a
stick
cockerel.
tights. Those are
Okay.
stick burrows or stick tights.
Stick a
But
burrow. Stick tight.
stick
See
a
what I'm
burrow,
talking
yeah.
about, you guys? Is what I mean. Like,
We call them stick tights or stick burrows.
I love it. I love it.
We got
I
no
love
seams down here.
You
We got
got
no seams up here too. Them no seams are worse than mosquitoes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lost.
No seams will bite you
How do you know if you can't see them?
because they bite
Because you
you.
know that you got bit by a no-see-um.
Yeah,
About
they
100 of
sneak up
them.
on you. They sneak up on you there because you can't see them, but they bite you.
What about
We
them
used to
tiny
send the
little?
kids.
Do you guys have them tiny, tiny little red spider thingies? They're like microscopic. You can't even see them.
Yes, and
What
you
are
step
those?
on them.
They're
Thank
what?
you, Wisdom. You feel them. That's why you know they bit you. There are no seams, but you feel them.
Mm-hmm.
What are them little red things?
That's a chigger.
That's a chigger bug too. Okay. See?
Yeah, we don't like chiggers. Them
Well,
chiggers. Mm-mm.
we got those damn Doodle just said it. Them damn murder hornets this year. They're like this. I'm telling you, I ain't lying. It's like this damn big.
I ain't seen no murder hornets.
We've seen 2 of them in our yard already. They're huge.
We supposed to have cicadas, but we didn't get none.
I think one of them was dropping off Amazon. That's how big they are.
Murder hornet. Hello, I'm here with your Amazon.
But I'm telling you, they're big enough they could carry packages. I ain't never seen it be that big in my life. And I can see why they call them that, because if you get stung, you're done.
Oh yes, Terry Lynn. Terry Martin. I know what chiggers are. And then you put chiggers. I know. Shh. They go.
You did it.
Shh. At Terry Martin, you had to put the fingernail polish on you, and that you put fingernail polish on a chigger bite. Clear fingernail polish.
Smother them little boogers.
Yep.
We get bit. I got bit by a spider. We get bit by spiders and spiders and ticks. We got bad ticks up here. I got to keep my grass cut like a golf course because of the ticks.
Spray your yard.
We're about to.
We spray our yard every year. Plus, my dog takes Simparica, so it's a flea, tick, heartworm pill, so they don't get them.
Right. I didn't even do. Let's see who we got in here tonight. It looks like we got 49 peeps with 33 likes. That's awesome. We're getting there. Welcome back, Butterfly 71, Miss Terry Martin. Thank you for joining us. The lovely Miss Wisdom Speaks in the house. And Asmer Chenoweth, thank you for joining us tonight. Our Whip, what's going on with you? Good to see you tonight. Mr. Bobby, old dude, always happy to see you, sir. Thank you for joining us. Just being a Raven in the house. Welcome back. Great to see you. Let me see. Of course, our Doodlebug farts in the house. Welcome back, Duty. I hope you're feeling better. Sound of Silence, welcome back to you. Great to see you. Miss B. Williams, welcome back. Great to have you here. Miss Andy Rose, welcome back. Great to see you. And welcome to the Blue Crew, Miss Andy. Great to have you here with us. Appreciate you very much. Barbara McGill, welcome back. Great to see you tonight. Salty Sleuth. Salty, I left you something in Discord if you want it. Teresa S., welcome back to you. Mind the Monsters, of course, up on the panel with me tonight. I'm super grateful for that. And Miss Kimber, thank you for joining me. Lowering Not Feelings, welcome back to you. Great to see you again tonight. B. Williams, thank you for being here. Always a pleasure. Trish Crow, welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight. Let's see. Tina B, welcome back to you. Great to see you. Great to have you all here with us tonight. All the meatballs. that are in the sauce with us tonight. I'm so super glad you could jump in here and spill a little bit of sauce with us. We do appreciate you very much. I'm looking. Poor Brandy. She's probably resting tonight. She doesn't need to be in here. That poor girl is sick. Mystery, welcome back to you. Great to see you tonight. And boing, there she is. The myth, the legend, the Salty Sleuth is in the house. Thank you for joining us tonight, Salty. I appreciate you very much.
Hey, Salty wants to check us for ticks.
Hey, there's parts of Florida you can't walk off in these woods unless you're gonna get one, right? They'll fall out of the trees. They'll fall out of the trees sometimes. I've seen it happen.
They do it here.
That's a country song, in case y'all don't know.
Yes, it is. Brad Paisley.
Brad Paisley. Yep.
And them ticks gonna be bad in Tennessee because we didn't have no winter this year. Them ticks gonna be bad. So them skeeters.
Girl. So the skeeters are already bad in Florida. It's certain times of day or night. Look, I'm out back now because I came outside to sit and chill, have me a Coke, smoke cigarettes, chill out with you guys. And now I'm sitting out here in the dark. There's a street light randomly out here in the middle of the country, but there's a street light over there. And so part of the backyard's lit and part's not. Part where the gate and fence are not. So I just locked the front door. My son's friend, who I've known since he was like 14, now mind you, they're 33. I've known him forever. So he's staying here for a few nights or whatever. I don't really know. So I just locked the front door because this dude ain't come home yet. I'm like, I'm not letting my door stay unlocked. That's bull. Call BS. I lock it. I come outside and I sit down. I just heard a damn noise at the gate. And I thought to myself, first instinct was that the cat coming over the fence at me. And I literally stood up. And when I did, I could see his reflective something on his hat, or I think it was his apron. He has an Amazon thingy on or some shit. Anyway, he was reflecting and I could tell it was a human. Dude, that almost didn't end well.
Yep. That's when you reach for things. That's what
I do. I didn't bring anything outside with me. I'm in my backyard, fenced in, minding my business. Don't walk up. I fucking said something. I started talking. I was like, no. I was like, who the hell are you? And I had this big stern voice come out of this little old body. He's like, it's me, Mom. It's me.
You gotta love it. Gotta love it.
You noticed me out here to begin with. You should have announced yourself in the future. You should have learned.
I'm home, Mama. I'm home. A great.
So I'm out here battling a little. I'm not battling bugs right now, but I'm battling odd humans coming up on me.
Odd humans, y'all. I'm just gonna tell y'all, I don't lock my door because I got a little. I don't. I got a little old 90-year-old neighbor that lives across the street from me. She can tell me everybody that goes down the road, gets near my house.
And that don't mean somebody ain't gonna come up on your house and walk right in the door. So you need to lock.
Does she ever sleep? Hey.
I lock my door at night.
Oh, thank God. Does she ever sleep? I was about to say.
Right.
But I mean, during the day and stuff, no. But my 90-year-old neighbor can tell me everything.
Oh, in the daytime, my doors are locked. My son would come home in the afternoon or something or whatever, and he'd come, why is his doors locked? I'm like, dude, I'm your mother. You know why my doors are locked. Come on.
Honey, she'd be outside in the wind.
Unless my kids were outside playing, of course, my door wasn't locked. But if I'm in there by myself, I don't care what time of day it is. That damn thing's getting locked.
We had 60-mile-an-hour winds one day, and I mean straight line winds. Shingles were blowing off of houses, and my little old neighbor, she's as sweet as she can be, but she'll introduce herself to you 3 times because she forgets. And then she'll go, how long have you lived here? How long? And I'm like, she goes, did y'all just move in? I'm like, no, ma'am, we've lived here a long time. And then, but we'll go on with that conversation. But she was out there with the broom going to sweep the leaves. And I'm like, Miss Shirley, you need to get in your house so you don't get hit with anything. So I'm out there trying to get her in her house, and I'm about to get blown away out there. And I'm like, Lord, get your broom and get in the house, Miss Shirley. The wind's going to blow whatever leaves away. So don't worry about it.
100%.
Well, we all got a Miss Shirley somewhere in the pack. Lock your doors, people. Lock your doors.
100%. Welcome, Park Cube. Welcome back to you, CZ. Welcome. Great to see you again tonight. Tomboy, welcome back. It's not too late for you, I hope. Miss Avery, welcome back to you. JCN, I think I see. Welcome, Diana. Good. Welcome back to you as well. I think I got everybody. If I didn't, I will catch up with you.
Y'all, I live in the cutest, quietest neighborhood in the world.
I live in a quiet neighborhood too, and this dude just walked up in my backyard randomly in the country. It almost didn't end well. I'm telling you, lock your doors.
Right. And again, everybody in
Dude,
chat, please welcome these. I feel like I'm up here with the Dixie Chicks with all these Southern accents.
Dude, honey, if they can, they got if they
Get it out.
well,
You good?
they have to decide if my stuff is worth more than their life when
There
they
you
come
go.
into my house.
Truth, but what if you're busy or like you're in the middle of doing shit in the kitchen and you don't really have good access to that, right? That that you're gonna have time to get there to it, or I mean, what's happening,
I
Kimber?
have it with me when I'm in the kitchen cleaning.
All right, here's a future show. Safety
Yeah.
101.
100%.
Safety 101 by Kimber.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
When you're cleaning, always have that with you, and
we
with
know
your
we know you're
cleaning
a Kimberfoot, but things can happen. So
Oh, wait, Kimber's strapped. Kimber is got her stuff nearby at all times. Never mind. Kimberfoot is good.
Kimberfoot.
Don't mess with the Kimberfoot people.
Don't mess with the Kimberfoot.
That's what I tell everybody. Anytime anything ever gets brought up, all I got to do is
Don't
smack
do it.
that. Everybody knows what that is right there. So we're good to go.
Yeah.
Again, Truth Seeker, welcome back to you. Again, if you guys would please welcome Miss Kimber, Miss Salty, and Mina Monsters up here. Miss Mom is in the house joining me tonight for this little presentation we're going to put up tonight. I appreciate you ladies very much for joining me. As always, it's an honor to have you all here. Again,
I'm excited about this presentation tonight.
It was a great show, by the way. Salty, you did a great job with that. Thank you again for having me over there. I really do appreciate you so very much. So
we kind of like having you over there, Dago. It's enjoyable. You give great input.
Well, thank you very much. I always enjoy being there. I do. That's a fact. So, you do. Yes, it's a very hard case to forget. Our whip, I tell you. And I've been reminded more and more of it since we've been covering Sebastian Rogers' case, because there's a lot of the same. I don't even know how to say it. There's a lot of the same things that have gone on that kind of remind me of it. So, Salty brought it up early on in Sebastian's case and said, remember this, remember that. I mean, there it is. So, I gotta say, it's really brought it back to my mind again. So, tonight, what we're going to be looking at is something that it's interesting to say the least. And again, Salty presented this to me, and I would love to present it to you. So I am grateful to be able to do this. And again, guys, it's all about awareness. Okay. Once you see, you'll see why I'm saying that. And that's what we do here, guys, is we bring voices for people that can no longer speak, to bring the awareness to others that could possibly go through what they've been through, to prevent it all, guys. And that's what it's all about to me. So welcome, Miss Paula. Thank you for joining us. We're watching something that is involving Elizabeth Smart. Absolutely, Miss Terry. So thank you for joining us for this.
And I so admire Elizabeth Smart for everything she went through and who she is today. She came so far.
So I gotta say, Miss Terry Martin got in touch with JAC Management. It's our local management group around here that they put together concert venues, all of our big to do things around here, and I am very impressed with what you're doing here, Terry, trying to make a difference. So thank you for what you're doing, trying to get these faces and these names out here and making a difference and bringing home some of these missing and these sad stories that we deal with. So Terry, thank you for pushing and doing what you're doing very much. We appreciate you. So that's an awesome thing to see. I just looked at that email fully. That's really awesome.
Thank you, Terry.
All right, guys.
I'm sorry, guys. I was muted out. My son's
you're
friend
okay.
was come out and talk to me.
You're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
But
I'm waiting just a minute here to get a few more people in here as I set this all up.
So yeah, quickly, if I can say for all those you tuned in earlier, thanks. We appreciate you coming in and listening to the doc read. We know it's tough, but like we said, we were just trying to honor Maddie at the same time we were doing that over there. So appreciate y'all if you came in and listened.
We do appreciate it. We're trying to be Maddie's voice because she no longer has one.
That's right, and she will always have one as long as we're around.
Yep.
All right, all right, all right. Absolutely. That is absolutely correct, Miss JC.
And everyone, in case you did not hear, I just want to make this announcement. The young lady that was missing from Hendersonville, Tennessee, Sarah Schmidt, she has been found safe.
That's right.
And,
thank you for that.
And that was from the Hendersonville Police Department. I did verify that on their website. She has been found safe.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing that. I was going to do it and I forgot. That's what we need to hear too, guys, because it does happen. We hear happy endings to some of these scenarios that we look at and we talk about. This is another one, and I'm grateful for that because they're not always bad, guys. They're not always bad. Evie Marie's in the house. Welcome back, Evie. Great to see you guys. Please make sure to hit that like button on the way through that door so we can get this up in that algorithm. You guys, I could probably sit here with my eyes closed and you guys could probably say what I just said to you and everything else I say to you every single day. I know you got to be tired of hearing it, but I got to say it because we got to do it. So, all right, y'all. Are you still there, Mom? God, she's always so quiet.
She is
Yep,
quiet.
I'm here.
All right.
Two of her demon dogs could be fighting. I've heard those dogs fighting over the phone. Jiminy crickets.
I gotta do something real quick. I want to do this real fast. Kimber, if you would just say hello, everyone, and then after that, Mom, and then Salty. All three of you do that real quick, if you don't mind.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Welcome in tonight.
Hello, everyone.
See, I told you. I got 3 Southern accents up here next day. So this is hilarious, guys. I love it.
Well, I didn't know you wanted it Southern. I said, "Hey, y'all."
Hey, y'all. Yeah,
That's
we
what
say y'all around here. We
I was gonna say something like you guys, all 3 of you do this, and
I'm always typing that in chat, y'all. What do y'all?
But it bounces back and forth. Sometimes you sound Southern, sometimes you don't, and all 3 of you do that. It cracks me up.
That's so funny.
Mama 3, welcome in, welcome back. Great to see you tonight. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys joining me for this. I hope you're all having a wonderful night, and I always love to try to close the night off the best way we can, and that's by hanging out with all of you awesome people. So thank you for being here. All right, guys. So again, this was presented to me from Salty again, and it's going to be a really interesting scenario. I'd like for all of you guys, if you need me to back up, slow down, speed it up, turn it down, whatever I can do, please let me know. Welcome, Allison White. Good to see you. And I will do that for you guys. So let's get this show on the road.
Hi, Allison. Hey, love.
Hi, and welcome to a special edition of Banfield. I'm Elizabeth Smart, and tonight for Ashley, this is an important and personal hour for me. We will be bringing you terrifying stories of survival. Children abducted through no fault of their own, forced to endure things no child should ever have to endure, all at the hands of predators who have chosen to commit heinous crimes and steal innocence. As many of you already know, my own story of survival began in 2002 when I was only 14 years old. Kidnapped from the safest place I could imagine, my bedroom. In just a bit, I'll share with you how I survived my own private nightmare and how I use every single day through the Elizabeth Smart Foundation to try and bring hope to others who have experienced something similar. My dad, Ed Smart, joins the conversation too. I will also bring you the incredible story of Tanya Kach. Tanya, like me, was 14 when she was abducted. Her captor was a security guard at her school, and he kept her locked in his bedroom for a decade. She couldn't leave that room, even to use the bathroom. She had to use a bucket. Tanya will join me live this hour. You might also remember Charlotte, who was just 9 when she vanished while camping with her family in upstate New York late last year. The whole country was on pins and needles, hoping and praying as every hour went by that she would be safely returned. She was rescued roughly 48 hours later. We all know how crucial those first 48 hours are. Charlotte is also a survivor, and her mother and aunt are here tonight. It's a busy night, so Ashley, thanks for letting me sit here, and let's get started. The night of my own abduction started off the same way that every other night went. I mean, it was a busy time of year. It was the end of the school year, and nothing really set it apart from any other day. I remember we went through the usual family routine. I remember going to bed. I shared a room with my little sister, Mary Catherine. We even shared a bed. I remember falling asleep, never considering that my life could change. And the next thing that I remember was waking up to a man's voice, which at first I didn't respond because how could that possibly be happening in my own bedroom? So I just lay there. And then the voice spoke again, saying the same words again, saying, I have a knife at your neck. Don't make a sound. Get up and come with me. And in those moments, it felt unreal. It felt like this couldn't actually be happening, except I could feel something cold and sharp lying across my neck. I could feel someone's hand on my arm trying to pull me out of bed. And I realized that my nightmares were real. They were inside my bedroom. I was taken up into the mountains behind my home. I mean, less than 4 miles from my house. And I was brought to this secret hidden campsite. It was pretty difficult to get to. And almost the first thing that happened to me was when I got there was I was stripped and I was forced to put on a robe. And then I was told that I was now this man's wife, which of course I didn't think could happen. I was immediately raped. Did not matter how much I begged or pleaded. And the crazy thing about it is that I was kidnapped by a husband and wife, a man and a woman, and they found that the best way to control people around them was by manipulating religion. So from day one, almost hour one, they were telling me things like I was chosen, that I should be grateful. And for the next 9 months, that's how they justified everything they did to me during that time period. And sometimes it was really hard. I wouldn't say I ever fully lost hope, but there were some pretty low times. I mean, I was raped daily, often multiple times. I mean, I was withheld food. I was withheld with water was withheld from me. There were a lot of times that I really wondered if I would just die naturally because hope seemed so dim of me being rescued. But during those 9 months, my captors took me to California for the winter. Miraculously, I was able to convince them to return to Utah, which we hitchhiked back to Utah. That was a whole adventure. But we were walking up State Street in Salt Lake on the first day that we were back in Utah when all of a sudden a police car pulled up and another one and another one. And I don't even remember how many officers jumped out of the car, but they ran over and started asking questions. And initially, I was too scared to respond. And it wasn't until they separated me from my captor that I was finally able to admit who I was. I remember being brought to the police station where I was held in a small room, and I really didn't know what was going on. But I remember my dad walking into the room. Well, more like running into the room, more like just appearing into the room, really. And he came over and he just picked me up in the biggest hug. And I remember for the first time in 9 months, that's when I felt safe, was when my dad was finally hugging me, because I knew that no matter what the future held, it was going to be okay, because he was going to be there and he was going to protect me. And no one would ever be able to hurt me ever again the way that these two people had hurt me the last 9 months. Now, my story doesn't end there. I mean, my story is still being written today, but certainly between then and now, there's been many ups and downs. And certainly one of those roller coasters was the whole justice system that we went through, the trial. And that was hard. And I think you could ask any survivor and ask them, do you feel like justice was truly served? And I don't think anyone would say yes, because even though my case is so rare in that it was successfully prosecuted, I didn't get my childhood back. Those 9 months that were taken from me weren't given back. So I feel incredibly grateful that my captors were prosecuted, that Brian Mitchell will never be released from prison. He'll never be able to hurt anyone ever again. But even more than that, I'm just so grateful now that I have the family that I have today. And joining me now is my dad, Ed Smart. My dad is one of the most special people to me in the world, and he has been a mentor and an exemplar and someone that I have wanted to emulate my entire life, who has always put his needs aside and tried to do what is right for the world around him. And so, Dad, thanks so much for joining me tonight.
It's my pleasure.
One of the questions I was kind of worried about is, before my kidnapping, do you remember hearing of other kidnapping stories? Did you follow? Was that something that was even on your radar?
No, I don't think that most people feel that there is the possibility that that's ever going to happen to them. And that's certainly, the case in your abduction. When Mary Catherine came into the room and said, "Dad, I think somebody has taken Elizabeth," my first thought was, you're just having a bad nightmare. Just calm down and we'll get it taken care of. So, I got up and checked and went into your room, and of course you weren't there. And I started going from room to room. And as I came downstairs, and your mother had, just followed me down, and Mary Catherine once again had said, "You're not going to find her. A man has taken her." And I think it was at that point the reality started sinking in, that something actually had happened. So for any parent out there who probably thinks that it can never happen to me, that's how we felt. And I certainly felt like there was the possibility that, you were just hiding somewhere, or you were downstairs or in one of the other kids' rooms. But that was not the case. And as that reality sunk home, the depth of the craziness of the whole abduction started hitting home. And it certainly hit home for your mother. And I don't think I've ever seen her in such pain as I did going into our living room and sitting down on the sofa and just going into this probably a mode that you were currently in at that same time. Unbelievable.
I mean, I can't even imagine now, as a parent myself, I can't even imagine how I would feel if I found out that one of my kids was kidnapped today. I think, and I'm curious to know, how did you know what to do? How did you keep my story in the media? I look back and I think it played such a role in bringing me home, keeping my name out there. How were you able to captivate the media's attention to cover my story as much as you did?
Well, I think that one of the things that happened in your case, you were the first, what we called Rachel alert in Utah, which was the Amber Alert. And in so doing, that brought a fair amount of publicity and the push to basically make the entire national Amber Alert available to all victims, because I think it's one of the first lines of defense that any parent has, to be able to basically tap into all of the people that are around you and the whole nation, to bring an awareness to the child being missing is huge. So, to us, we were constantly looking, and we knew that one of the things that we had to do was, one, to stay out there in front of the news, to try to tell new stories about you, have new pictures, bring new videos. And of course, it was just the beginning of the internet and the web. And that just became huge and is even bigger today, because when you think about trying to find you, that was our goal. And the police, to them, it was a matter of eliminating everyone, eliminating other possibilities to try to get down to, what actually happened to you. So I think that being able to call on all of the people out in our neighborhood, in Utah and across the nation was huge in bringing you back.
And I think it's really important for parents to hear it. How do you best interact with law enforcement? I mean, it's usually their job to look at the people who are most likely, and usually they do look at the families first. What is your advice to parents who are in that situation and working with law enforcement?
I think a lot has happened since the time you were abducted. The CART teams, child abduction response teams, have come into play, and that is a huge thing. I mean, one of the biggest frustrations was to see all the different law enforcement agencies out there and not see them coordinated together. I remember one of my good friends, Corey Lyman, saying, Ed, I know you're not going to believe this, but we have never worked so well together. And that was very frustrating because, you hope that when a child goes missing, everyone puts aside their egos, and it's not about who found you, but did we find you? And that's what happened in the end. And I think the coordinated effort of so many law enforcement agencies now makes a huge difference. And when you take that along with empowering the public to come on board to try and help find a child, it allows so much more information to flow, especially with the internet. People that have seen things, people that might know something, they feel more open to be able to say it without revealing themselves. So that's good and bad. We had so many people that were kind of crazy that, thought they knew. I remember the second day that you were missing, one of the police officers came up and said, this woman down here, down the steps, claims that, you've walled Elizabeth up in the house. And I said, please come in, please find her. There wasn't anything that we weren't willing to do. And being willing to cooperate with law enforcement is huge. To make them part of your team and trying to find your child is so important. There are all sorts of obstacles that come out.
I think you're so right. The focus does need to stay on the child. I guess for my final question, and in 20 seconds, what would you say to the families who still have missing children who are trying to maintain hope?
You can't give up hope until there's a body. And I think that, certainly I had an impression that you were still out there, that we couldn't give up, and that there was no way we would let ourselves go to that point. And so for every parent out there, I think, keeping your child's face out there, being able to, share new information about your child to engage the public. That's really what it's all about, is engaging the public. So that's the most important, whether it's through the internet, through the news, through media.
Well, Dad, thank you so much for joining me. That's Ed Smart, my dad. And still to come, a major break-in, a murder case that made headlines across the country.
And I have to say, this woman has turned out to be, she grew into such a beautifully amazing, everything she dealt with. And she's sitting here doing this right now. And her dad, God bless that man, everything he went through. And
she's a strong, beautiful woman. She's grown stronger because of what happened to her.
Oh, absolutely.
And she's definitely a daddy's girl, and she has a very strong bond with him. And I don't mean that in any kind of bad way, but he fought for his daughter. And, some neighbor accused him.
It wasn't just that. He was accused.
Right. Yeah, there was a lot.
But
so much.
But I know,
Yeah.
and it was a lot. And he's like, come in my house, do whatever you need to do to find my daughter.
And
The
what he
biggest thing, yeah, he pushed. Ed was the thing about Ed Smart because I lived this case for this
right,
little girl. For this little girl,
I did
and
too.
keeping her name out there was and the way I never one time ever suspected that man of doing anything to this little girl.
right,
Never once gave you that vibe. But there were the weirdos out there who, of course, were going to do their thing. And it started with the Elizabeth Smart case because it was one of the first
yeah,
very nationally covered cases that really kept her out there.
right.
And so every time he did a press conference or came out and spoke about his daughter, the people had to pick it apart.
Every bit of it, yeah. And
And he
it,
was accused of doing more than walling her up in the house.
a
So,
lot more, and it
but he didn't
destroyed it.
care. He
Right.
stood his ground. He continued to come into the public, and he even addressed some of the issues that were being talked about. And he stood his ground for his daughter.
Yeah.
So I commend this man, and I worried about Elizabeth for so long, and I know what I was doing the day I got the call that she was found. And I worried about her for the longest time because I knew eventually what she went through. And to see her today doing this
Mm-hmm.
and showing people, stop thinking this can't happen.
That's it. The
Stop
awareness.
and stop automatically because if you convince yourself from day 1 or 2 or 3 that that dad did something, you're no longer actively looking for this child.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You're waiting on bones
And
to be found in some random burial ground instead.
That's it.
and
That's it.
right. And you know another thing that amazes me, after everything that happened to her, after all of her trauma, she has grown up to be a beautiful, smart
Mm-hmm.
woman. She has married and she has gone on to have children, even through all of the trauma that she went through. And a lot of women don't because of that trauma. But
Mm-hmm.
she
Mm-hmm.
has grown beyond that trauma and she went on to, and that's another one of her strengths.
Well, and
She
it's
went
her
on to,
outreach, right?
right.
Her
She went,
what? Yeah.
she
Right.
grew beyond that and she had children of her own. And a lot of women, when they are raped, they do not, when they went through what she went through at such a young age, they do not. But she went
Well,
on to, she was strong enough to get past all of that. Her parents helped her get through that, and she went on to become who she is today. And she has children of her own, which I'm sure who she watches very closely because she's aware of all the dangers out there. But she went on to have children of her own.
well, you're about to see strength in a few minutes
Right.
when she
I
talks to Charlotte, Senna's mama.
and I
Because
just
this
wanted.
Elizabeth was able to, she was not able to only overcome what happened, but it's what she's doing for the other victims that matters the
That's what
most.
I'm saying. And she's
Yeah.
an
And
advocate
she's
for other
doing,
victims as well.
she's helping them come to terms with their stories and work through the stuff as well. So, and
Right.
people like her are needed. So yeah, we commend her for it. But
Oh, yeah.
it's yeah. But like I said, Dago, this next segment is about an update on the Rachel Marin case. It's up to
Right.
you if you choose
Right.
to do that or not. But
We can roll through it. I just wanted to say that's what I wanted to say is that she beat all the odds. She grew
Mhm.
into this amazingly beautiful woman, has her family, she still has her parents, she has all the support she needs, and at the same time is able to take all that and turn that out onto the outside to support and teach others and be a voice, as I was saying earlier, be a voice for people that cannot express that to help others to get through these things and to avoid these situations, guys. It's an amazing thing to me. And I am just overwhelmed with it.
Mhm.
It almost brought me to tears to see her and her father
Oh,
out there talking. I'll be honest
She,
with you. So,
Dago, when I
it
saw
did,
this last night after you got off your live, like I was telling you, I found it like almost instantly, and I was watching it, and I was like, it did do because I tell you, this little girl holds a special place in my heart, and to see her doing this when I was watching it last night, I was so proud of her. You know what I mean? I didn't
absolutely.
see her as this poor victim. And
Right.
you'll
no,
see Charlotte's mother speak about that term. So I'll let you carry on. Yeah.
but
Absolutely.
she turned her tragedy into something positive into positive in her life, and she's gone on to help other victims.
Agreed.
And that speaks volumes of her.
Agreed. And again, thank you everybody for joining us for this tonight. I appreciate you very much. Thank you for the amazing creators up here with me tonight. I absolutely appreciate you so very much for this as well as we continue. Guys, thanks again.
Over time. After the break, you'll meet a woman who, like me, was kidnapped at the age of 14. In 1996, Tanya Kach was in the 8th grade at Cornell Middle School in McKeesport, Pennsylvania. But instead of living a carefree life of 14-year-old, she was dealing with a chaotic home life of abuse and neglect, with parents in the middle of a messy divorce. At school, she forged an odd friendship with a 38-year-old security guard named Tom Hose. He listened to her problems, made her laugh, and showered her with gifts. These were all steps in the grooming process. Then, their relationship took a dark turn. Hose forced her into his elderly parents' home where he lived and held her for a decade. Locked in his bedroom, he sexually abused and tortured her at will. In 2006, at age 24, Tanya found the courage to escape when Hose allowed her to work a part-time job at a convenience store. Tanya's story of survival is so powerful and important. I helped produce a Lifetime film about it called The Girl Locked Upstairs, the Tanya Kach story. Take a look.
I heard what you said about me. I swear I wouldn't do that. Stop lying!
Hey, clear out of here. Stephanie Darling, principal, now.
Why is everyone here so mean?
We're friends, aren't we?
You're my only friend.
For you, Tanya, I'd do anything. Tanya, what are you doing here?
I can't stay at home. My mom turned me away. That's why I need to stay someplace else.
No one can know you're here.
Okay.
This is the only way you can be safe. Don't make any noise. This isn't gonna be forever, I promise. You've got to take control of your life.
That's not my life.
What excuse do you think you could have for breaking my rules?
I can't go on like this.
I'm joined now by my friend and someone I greatly admire, Tanya Kach. Tanya, it's been 18 years since you courageously escaped. Do you look back at it and wonder how you did it? How did you survive it? I mean, more than a decade.
I know. I look back and I wonder how I survived it. I was crazy. But by the grace of God, I got through it.
No, you're just such an incredible woman. You're so strong. I mean, you kept going every single day. Your story, it shows and teaches so much about grooming and mental control. And I mean, what, in your words, do you feel like are signs that parents and friends should watch for?
They need to watch for the signs where, if an adult who, what happened to me was he was 38 and I'm 14, and sitting down talking and having a conversation, and he gave me jewelry, he gave me money, he gave me cigarettes, he gave me things that I had, that a 38-year-old man should not have been giving a 14-year-old girl. And that's one of the ways, one of the big ways of grooming, and how that came about and everything.
But I mean, you're so right. We all need to pay attention to the relationships around us and note when something's different or not right, when there is extra attention being paid to someone that probably shouldn't be paid to. You also feel your story helps women in abusive relationships. How?
So there, women, unfortunately, in abusive relationships, it's a cycle, and they do things to keep them in the relationship. They buy them things, they apologize for the abuse, and it's a never-ending cycle. And I'm hoping by women seeing my story to break that cycle and to get out
I think you're right. And we chatted before that, I mean, we both experienced that control over us to the point that, I mean, I can say that I know that those mental bonds are stronger than physical bonds. I mean, I experienced them both. And it becomes, I mean, your captors, these, and what I imagine domestic violence abuse victims experience is that the other person just becomes so powerful. They feel like that they're invincible, that no one can protect you from them. I mean, do you feel like that's how you felt as well?
Oh, that's exactly how I felt. You know, with the mental control, like he was in charge, he was in control. I did what he told me to do, when, where, how. You know, he told me to jump, it was how high.
I mean, I just know that your story is so powerful and so many people still need to hear it because it does show what grooming looks like. It does show how dangerous these situations can be, how easy it is for a vulnerable child to be targeted. And now you have a beautiful life. And can you just tell me, how do you feel about life now? I mean, what does your life look like? Where does your strength keep coming from?
Oh, my strength, you know, I have to say my strength comes from my husband, is my rock now. You know, I found true love and what love is, just like with you as well, you know, and he keeps me going, you know. I mean, he is always encouraging me and giving me support, and it's so wonderful. And life now is great, you know. He has I have stepchildren of his, and then I have grandchildren through my stepson. So, you know, I have a busy life of being a grandmother.
I think having a supportive family and a supportive network around you really does make all the difference as to whether you come back and you reclaim your life and you thrive and you're happy versus sort of the opposite end of the spectrum, the negative cycle, downward cycle that can happen. So my last question for you, Tanya, is to anyone who is watching this or anyone who watches your story or hears about it and they find themselves in a similar situation, what would your words of encouragement or advice be to them?
That, you know, how I explained all of the red flags and everything, and, you know, to keep a mindful watch out for those things and control, and, you know, be careful if there's any isolation as well, because that is something that, you know, happens in an abusive relationship, was the isolation, to stay to only him, you know, that person. So, you know, by my story, you know, I want them to break free of that and to get out of that.
Well, Tanya, you are amazing and I adore you. So thank you for joining me tonight. And Ashley, if you're watching, another big thank you for letting me sit in tonight. Still to come. So how does a little girl even start to heal and live a normal life again after kidnapping? Some victims of that life-shattering crime are throwing off the word and choosing survivor instead. Joining me next, the mother and aunt of 9-year-old survivor, just months after her ordeal in upstate New York. They join me live right here next. It's not even been 9 months since a family in upstate New York experienced the same terrifying moment that hit my family more than 20 years ago. Their little girl, a 9-year-old named Charlotte, had simply disappeared from their camping trip. Charlotte's family didn't know it yet, but she'd been abducted and locked inside a camper. After about 48 hours, police managed to track down where Charlotte was being held, and they set her free. Her kidnapper and assailant pleaded guilty and is in prison, hopefully until he dies. But tonight is not about that case or that investigation. Tonight is about Charlotte and her survival and her healing. Joining me live in the News Nation studio, Trisha SENNA, Charlotte's mother, and Janae Luciani SENNA, Charlotte's aunt. They are not only helping navigate Charlotte's recovery and life after this nightmare, but they are sharing their story with the world on the podcast Sisterhood of the Survivors, available on all the major podcast sites. So thank you, first of all, both of you ladies, for joining me. And I love your shirts.
Oh,
you
thank
say
you.
with no fear. I love that. How did you come up with that? What does that symbolize and embody to you?
So when Charlotte wrote her impact statement, she signed it with no fear, comma, Charlotte. So she was really making a point.
Love that.
Yeah.
And I think she's living her life
strong.
that way too, since this happened. So even like, I know that this is not super comfortable of an experience for Trisha because she doesn't work in TV like I do, but she looks at Charlotte as an inspiration and as an example that she can do hard things.
Yep.
Because we have a purpose with this. So
I think that just speaks so much to who she is. And even today, I mean, my first question was going to be, how is Charlotte today? But that almost feels redundant because you're saying that's how she signed her victim impact statement. I mean,
Yep.
how amazing. That's incredible. I mean, so you've come out really strongly that she is a survivor and not a
Yes.
victim. And I just want to hear you explain in your words, what do you feel like the difference is between a victim and a survivor?
So when I hear the word victim, it feels harsh and it feels hard and just sad. Like usually when you hear victim, you feel sadness and empathy. And I really want Charlotte to be seen as a survivor, for one, because she works really, really hard to be a survivor every day. And just like think about how we talk about people who overcome anything really difficult in life, like cancer, for example. We say they're a cancer survivor. And Charlotte is a survivor of a really terrible experience, but she is surviving. She's working hard every day, and I'm going to follow her motto here, without fear. That's what she's doing. She's taking this and she's saying, this is not going to define me. Mm-hmm. I'm a survivor.
I love that. And I think you're exactly right. I think that is what sets survivors, that's what makes a survivor, is that mental mindset of, I'm not going to let this ruin my life. I'm not going to allow fear to stop me from doing what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And I guess in that same vein, would you say that that's how she's living her life? I mean, does she have normal 9-year-old summer plans?
Of course she does. Yes. She came home and looked at me like right away. And she said, I just decided this is not going to ruin my life and I'm just going to move forward. And that was like 2 hours after being home. So she has always made this really conscious decision that this wasn't defining her and she was moving forward, and she's doing hard things and things out of her comfort zone. So like this summer, she's doing a play. And I think it's just because she now feels like, I can do this. I can do hard things. I can be brave. I overcome something that was really scary and tragic. And now I'm going to go do things and step out of my comfort zone. Like I said, she's doing a play, which for anybody that knows her, it's like really mind blowing to think that she's going to do this, but she's doing it. She's owning it. She's loving it.
I mean, I just think that speaks so much to the kind of family that you are. I mean, I know I have a 9-year-old daughter myself, and I try to tell her all the time, you can do hard things. You're so strong. You can do hard things. And just what you've said about how she just immediately came out and was like, I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor. I'm not going to live in fear. This isn't going to define me, kind of thing. I mean, that's everything that I want for my own child. And I hope that's how she would respond. I just think that just speaks to the family that you are and this incredible young woman that you're raising. On a little bit maybe of a more difficult direction, how does Charlotte process what has happened to her? I mean, does she talk about it, or is that something that she chooses not to? Does she focus on the here and now, or does she find it helpful to revisit the past and work through everything that happened?
So the way trauma works is it's going to take your experience and it literally just smashes it into a million pieces, and it'll come back to you when you're ready for it to come back to you. So sometimes our conversations are every single night, and sometimes they are, a week in between. But I am a huge advocate of talking about our feelings and talking through things. Like I tell Charlotte all the time, you have to pull the weeds so the flowers can grow. And her weeds are her fears, the things that she's afraid of, or, just things creeping in after, months of that, her not thinking of them. It's like, you got to get them out. You got to talk about it. And I feel that's really important for healing. So talking is a big part of our days, and just trying to get as much of that out as we can.
Speaking of talking, tell me about the sisterhood of, tell me about the podcast, the Sisterhood of the Survivors. It's not only Charlotte's story, but your whole family's. Tell me about it.
Well, I think the ripple effect, and you probably know this, Elizabeth, firsthand, but the ripple effect of something like this on families is huge. So it's like everybody's experiencing their own trauma and experiencing their own, stuff with this. And on top of it, with such a high profile case, we're getting like inundated with the stories. So just a quick note on the whole victim and survivor thing. We know that one day she's going to Google her name, and we wanted her to have these stories come up about all the good that her family's doing, good that has, kind of come out of this, the activism, that sort of thing, as opposed to the stories that are her being this person's victim. So that was really important to us. So we were kind of like talking every day, pretty much, talking about different things that we could do moving forward. And we, one day, were like, should we start speaking out more about this? And we were working, talking with NCMEC, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And I wrote a blog for them, and we were trying to figure out different things that we could do to, use this kind of new platform. And Trisha said, why don't we make our own platform? And so that's how the podcast idea kind of was born. And in a way, it's really just letting people in on the conversations that we've been having already for the past almost 9 months. But we also—
I think that is—
Yes. We also plan to bring people on too.
So amazing.
It's not just us talking.
That is so amazing. And may every survivor have as supportive a family as Charlotte does. Thank you, Trisha, SENNA, and Janae Luciani, SENNA. Still to come, it's been 21 years since I was rescued from my kidnappers. And now, as a mother of 3, there are practices I have in place to keep my children safe from what I faced. And you can too. And when we come back, the 3 things you need your child to know, no matter what their age. Don't go anywhere. The 3 things that I want my children to know, no matter what, is number 1, I love them unconditionally. There isn't anything that they could ever do that would make me stop loving them. The second thing that I want them to know is that, heaven forbid, anything ever happens to them. But if it does, it is not their fault. They didn't do anything wrong. And the third thing I want them to know is that they can come to me and ask for the bubble of safety, which is where they can tell me anything they need to, and I won't respond emotionally for 24 hours. I will focus on helping them to get through whatever they need and mentoring them and be the best support that I can be. Those are my 3 points of advice. And so please remember them. And I'll be back tomorrow night. And make sure you stay tuned for Chris Cuomo next.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.
I think Ashley Banfield has some competition.
I can agree with that one. I would watch Elizabeth every day if she was on.
She is awesome. And
Yeah.
here's what I think. I think that I heard something tonight that makes a good point. If we have somebody that has been abused or is in a bad situation, and we're bringing their case to light, and instead of presenting them as a victim,
Right. Thank you, Doodle.
let's present them as a survivor.
And I was thinking of a way to present that during shows. You can't say there are.
I mean, if they're gone,
I don't want to say there are no victims. There's only survivors, but in some senses,
if they're gone, we can't present them as a
right.
survivor.
And
We have
that's
to be their
what I
voice.
was.
But if they are still here, we need to present them as a survivor, not a victim.
Absolutely.
That we need to present them as a survivor.
Absolutely.
So when Tanya was talking and the
Mhm.
grooming, I hope you guys were really paying attention to what she was saying and how that man from the school befriended her.
Yeah.
So there was no internet needed to communicate with this man
No.
because she could do it in person. So
I want to, by the way, real quick. Sorry, Salty. Before I
Go
forget,
ahead.
I was thinking this when that was on. That is a movie that was put up. I think it's a Lifetime movie. For those of you that belong in the Discord, I think we're going to pull that up and watch that one night in the Discord just to show the story of what actually went on with her.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm going to be planning on doing here soon. So go ahead. Sorry.
That'd be cool. No, I'm just, that grooming process that takes place. Charlotte's kidnapping was it was a different type of kidnapping.
Yeah.
Elizabeth's was different. You heard the story for both.
3 different stories, right?
3 different stories, but with Tanya, it's like that process, and with Stefan, we saw it, the grooming process that took place. He didn't just come in hot and start what he was doing.
Right.
He gained that trust. He became that savior. He became that one she ran to when mom was, showing out, whatever, that kind of thing. So,
Absolutely.
and like they're saying to watch, like if somebody's paying more attention to that one child than they should be.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That should be a red flag.
Guys, yes, she's right. And this goes to me saying we have to stop minding our business. We have to stop minding our business. If you see something that looks weird, step in the middle of it. Say something. Present yourself to these people and say, hey, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? There's ways to do it tactfully, folks. There is.
A lot of this comes, Elizabeth's kidnapper actually knew her family. He worked for her dad from time to time.
Right.
Yes,
And
he
the
did
only
handyman work.
Yeah, and the little sister heard him tell Elizabeth to get up and come with me. But for about the first 2 to 3 months, Mary, was it Catherine? Mary Catherine couldn't remember who it was because she was little, like 6 years old. She was young.
She remembered the voice.
Then she remembered. It just came back to her. And she's like, I think it's whatever his name was. About that time, the same dude that saw him in the park, when they got back into town with Elizabeth and they went back to that park, that guy in the park noticed them. And when the little girl remembered the voice, so they actually had a name and they knew that this guy hung out in these parks and wore this type of clothing. So they began to put that out there, the photo. They didn't tell us how they got it or anything like that. It's just all of a sudden now we have this. And we weren't aware that the little girl remembered anything yet.
Right.
So when the guy saw the images that were being presented in the news, and then when they came back into town and went to that damn park, that guy seen them. And he watched them and he's like, whoa, wait, is that, I've watched his interview. I'd have to find it because it's pretty cool. But he's like, is that really what I think it is? And it was. And thank God, because he reported it.
Right.
And that was the guy they were looking for as a suspect in kidnapping of Elizabeth. And the only reason they knew it was him was because that little girl remembered that voice.
Right.
So but with Tanya, these guys are going to be closer to home, these groomers. So it starts with you keeping a very close eye on your children, not so much minding everybody else's. Of course, if you see child abuse physically happening or neglect, speak out, try to do something. But what I'm hoping people take away from watching this is how easily this stuff can happen and how quickly it happened. How quickly it happened in Charlotte's case was amazing. And it happened in daylight in a freaking camping state park with
went around
Elizabeth
and was
and
gone.
yeah, and Elizabeth's house layout. Because a lot of people speculated, how's that happen? Come in your house. I had a house like this one time, pre-Hurricane Ivan, but the master bedroom will be on the one end of the home, and the other bedrooms on the other end of the home, and the
That's my
garage.
house. That's how my house is set up.
Yeah, and so the garage had an exterior door that led into the home, and that happened to be on the side where the kids' bedrooms were, and not on the side where the parents were at. He made entry into that house through that door. The garage was not locked. They didn't lock down that night as tightly as they should have, I guess. Not blaming them at all, but that's how he gained entry, was through that door. So they never heard him even come in that damn house.
Right.
And that's how. And it was a pretty big house, so.
My garage doesn't have a human, a traffic door or whatever they call it.
A man door.
A man door. Thank you.
Yeah, right. But but Tanya's case was really important because of that grooming aspect that takes place with that.
And Salty and I, Tanya's case, when we watched that, Salty and I had a conversation about that because that was a janitor at the school.
He was a security guard, actually. They just said
security guard.
Either way, he was
that's
an
worse.
employee,
That's worse.
at the school.
He was an employee at the school, but Salty and I had a conversation about that because, they say that everybody at the school is, they go through a background checks. But okay, so let's say, and Salty and I discussed this today. So, but if somebody's worked at the school for 20, 25 years, they may not go through a background check because they have been at the school for 20 or 25 years.
Even if they go through a background check, it doesn't matter. You don't know what's going on up here.
Right. But what I'm saying is they may not go through a background check because they've been working at the school for 20 or 25 years. Only the new people coming in may go through that background check. Salty and I were talking about it today, but they may be grandfathered in.
They may be grandfathered in, but I agree with Dago as well. And even if they did background checks, what would provoke law enforcement to look at somebody from a school setting or the church or these random things, because you got to have probable cause or something that leads you there. And if nothing leads you there, and there was no communication between her and him on any kind of electronic device stuff going down, it was all person to person communication. So only she had the knowledge that was even happening.
There's no reason to look.
There was no paper trail, right? And when things went south at home, because she had a rough life, things were happening. So when she left, she went to the only place she thought she could trust, this grown man who appeared to be her friend.
Obviously he wasn't. Yes.
And that was his perfect opportunity, right? It came to him. It probably would have happened eventually.
It fell right in.
He was making himself that safe place, right? He was absolutely, he probably encouraged her. Then next time something happens and you need to leave, you can absolutely come here.
And it's another predatory situation. This is how this works. I do want to say, though, real quick, Mama Three Boys had a question. And Mom, if you don't mind, I'd like to bring you into this for this. She says, I do have a question about the National Amber Alert. How come that we don't get them over our phone and it's only the state that you live in? How does the National Amber Alert work? I have that question too, because I signed into that a long time ago and I don't get any of them.
It's broken is what it boils down to. So the Amber Alert system is made to pinpoint the area or the state the child is missing from.
Mm-hmm.
So there are apps that are out there that you're supposed to be able to download, and you're supposed to get Amber Alerts from everywhere. However, from what I've found is they don't work very well at all.
And that's true, because I signed in a long time ago. I get them sometimes in the state of Ohio when we have them happen here. They work when they want to work. But I signed up for something a long time ago to get them throughout the United States, period. And I think I've gotten 2 over the past 6 years. And I'd like to get them for, like, when Sebastian disappeared. I'd love to get those, or Maddie, or any of those. I'd love to get those as well. And it'll give me a heads up on what's going on to get a head start on what I want to do. So
we've been having a lot of conversations about Amber Alerts lately, and
mhm.
and as Mom said, the broken system.
Right.
I remember when they decided to have Amber Alerts and why, and all
Yeah.
the things. So what it's going to take to fix it is advocacy.
Yes, ma'am.
For us to stand up and say, you know, we need to take these missing kids more seriously when they are abducted immediately. Do you know how quickly you can get out of a state with a child into another state?
Very
You
quickly.
know how fast you can leave Northwest Florida right now and be in 3 different states within
Absolutely.
an hour?
And that's the point I want to make with this, why I wanted to carry this question out. We can do anything, folks. We have this thing right here on our face, and that's our mouth, okay? And we have this amazing tool here to spread the word all over the place. This awesome lady sitting up here next to me got a law passed, folks. That tells me that anything can be done, okay? That's all we got to do is make some noise, guys. We need to make things happen. We need to push for the things we need done. We need to scream and cry, complain, bitch and moan, whatever you want to call it, to make these changes happen, guys, because these things are the tools that we have within our reach to be able to change some of these things, like Elizabeth Smart and Maddie Soto and Sebastian Rogers and all of these other cases that we look at. We need to make them work the right way.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's broke for. If you look at it, it's broke for all of the missing, because you've got Caleb Harris. He's missing.
I was just giving some examples, but yes, it's for,
Right,
I mean, for everyone.
I know you were,
adults
Dago,
aren't going to be on the Amber Alert system.
No,
right,
they
but
won't
they're
be.
not going to be on the Amber Alert system, but there should be a way to get those alerts as well.
Well, we also have to consider, okay, Kimber, I'm with you. We also have to make sure they go out locally as fast as possible, fast as possible, because that's the immediate area, and you got to start branching out. But if you go look at the statistics of how many go missing per day, per hour, per second, all the things, there's so many. At some point you would inundate a system, right? And so you have to, I don't know the way to fix it or how to get words out there, but people would stick to the names and the faces and stories about the person, and that might help. That might help, because it's just keeping it out there, and you got to figure out ways to get these faces onto social media. We all have these damn devices in our hands. I mean, constantly. I don't care if it's 10 seconds, a flash across the screen, and get them into those areas like Vern tries to do. And Mom, you can speak better on that. What he tries to do with the Twitter work and getting these targeting areas, right? And demographics. And there's just a whole thing that goes with it that it needs to be reevaluated and done in a way also using social media to help and not hinder.
Agreed. We can do these things, folks. We have so many smart people that are working on this, okay? We put our heads together. We make things happen, folks. It happens. It does happen. We can make it happen. And if we continue doing what we're doing and going in the direction we are and pushing and pushing and pushing and making some noise, something is going to come from it. Arctic Fox, there's a link right there on my screen for the Amber Alert reform bill that he's putting together, the petition, I'm sorry. that we put it in here all the time. And thank you, Mom, for throwing that up here. I was getting ready to ask about that again, but there it is, guys. And it can happen. These are the types of things we need to do. And I'm just
the changes can be made. Like I always go back to Monkey, and if you guys have ever followed me, Michael Vaughn is one of my cases. Like that's a case that is very close to my heart. And Brandy got a law passed called Monkey's Law. And what that law does is any child that does not fit the criteria, which that's a whole different rant, that doesn't fit the criteria of an Amber Alert gets a Monkey's Law alert. And that is spread across the state. And this can be done. There are different states that have adopted similar laws. But your best bet is if you're on social media, either if YouTube is your preference, follow a creator that is strictly posting missing posters on their community walls, because some of us work, we can't catch them all. You got Kimber's put together her channel, and she's using her community wall to spread missing flyers. You have the Aware Foundation. They're on Twitter and Facebook. They are an amazing group that I work with in the background. Lighting the Way, that's another amazing group. You've got NCMEC. You've got a lot of these really good advocacy groups that's all they do all day. They have teams of people that post missing flyers and updates. Like as soon as they get an update, they post it.
Great. Arctic Fox, he does the same thing. You're absolutely right.
Exactly.
Doodlebug's channel is
Doodlebug. There's so many of us that are here for the right reasons. Like Doodle, if you're in my Discord, I've got her in an Autobot where as soon as she posts a video, it goes straight in my Discord. It Autobots right to my Discord.
Right.
Because it might be that one person that maybe seen that missing person at the grocery store, at the gas station, or whatever the case may be. The link that's on the screen, Arctic has been working on that for years. Once we get the number of signatures on that, then he can take it forth. But the thing about these change.orgs is they have to have a certain number of signatures on them before you can take them to a state representative. And that's something else that's broken with the system. Is it has to have 3,000 signatures or 5,000 signatures or whatever that you're pinpointing towards. And what they were talking about, what Vern does on Twitter is he takes like a missing persons flyer and he promotes it in the area, because Twitter has a promote button on there, and you can target certain areas that you want that flyer to be seen in, and it comes up on your Twitter like an ad.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things that we can do and network. And 20 years ago, it was, I hate to use the word, but it was taboo. You never saw anybody sharing missing. And now that social media is such a staple in our lives, I mean, whether you want to look at it like that or believe that that's what it is, how many times a day do you pick up your phone and check your YouTube or check your Twitter or check your Facebook or whatever, Discord or whatever your choice of social media is? Because it's so important to get these people's faces and names out there. Just like she was saying, you don't ever expect this to happen to your family, but when it does, your whole world comes crashing down and you don't know where to start.
Right. And you're going to want the support that we have out here. This is why we have chosen to work together the way we do. And we continue to grow our group as often as we can, because the more of us that are speaking this, Arctic and me and Arctic and Mina Monsters, Doodlebug, Kimber, the Duchess for the Missing, Cluminati has thrown this into her mix now. More and more and more and more, guys. It's something that we have this. People like Mom just said, we're out here every day. You're out here every day. We're using this tool for other things. Why not utilize it for something like this, to where we can put an end or even a dent maybe into the fact that this is such an epidemic at this point? Why not? Why not? We're spending our lives in here anyway at some aspect. That didn't sound good, but a lot of our lives in here in some aspect. why not do something good with it? Folks?
They go, we are spending our lives in here.
I mean, I guess so, but I didn't
no,
want to.
I mean, no, generally, you're not wrong though, because we're always on our social medias, like Mom was
We
saying.
are.
And that's what I'm saying. We're always on these our social medias, and it doesn't take long to share them, to look at them, review them. I'm seeing a lot more of them now as well because Arctic and Mom and Doodle and Kimber, so
We're
it's just
growing, and it's
being
an
aware,
inspiration.
right? And read the
Mom,
locations. Notice where they're from, guys, because that might be close to you or something, and you'll know to look out and things like that. So
just right here, what I'm doing right now. We're sitting here having a conversation. So with that time that we're using, I'm running this. By the way, this amazing slideshow that Doodlebug put together for me that we keep adding to. Because there's so many of them that go missing. We keep adding to it and adding to it and adding to it. While we're sitting here having this conversation and listening to each other talk, you're seeing these faces and these names. And how do you know that you weren't at the grocery store an hour ago and you saw, wait a minute, I saw her. And you get the name, the number, and this, and you call. I saw this girl. Where are you at? This is where I was. This is how it happened. Even if you're not right, you never know. You could be that one person that sees that one time, and that makes all the difference in the world, you guys.
That's what happened in the Elizabeth Smart case.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Elizabeth was in the public's eye for 9 months, folks. She was right in front of everybody the whole time. The only reason why nobody saw her is because this is all you saw. This is all you saw. The rest of her was covered, and nobody would ever think to approach somebody that has a Middle Eastern dress on or a Middle Eastern look to think that's abnormal, because it's not. They live amongst us every day. It was one of the most, I don't even want to call it smart because it's horrible to say that, but it was the way it was done was unbelievable to me.
He was able to keep her concealed, her identity concealed by dressing that way, because he and his wife dressed that way as well. So it wasn't odd for her to look that way and not them. They were all and this guy was really, this guy he was out there.
Yeah.
If you don't know, it's crazy details of that story, but what they were doing, but they literally did keep her captive up in those mountains, in those campgrounds, where they would come down from the mountains into the town, right? And things like that. And so he was taking her out in public, but of course, the whole time that mind control was there, because he did tell her, if you ever tried to get away or do any of those things. And I think there was one point she did try to escape, and it didn't work out, and she paid the price for it. And that was while they were in the mountains. They were at the campsite when that happened. But he told her he would kill her little sister, and she had no reason to believe that he wouldn't do it.
And y'all, unfortunately, at the end of this year, there's a wonderful foundation closing that advocates for children, and that's the Polly Klaus Foundation. That's closing at the end of this year.
No way.
Yes.
Why?
Don't know. It's just closing.
Mark's probably, I don't know. I'll have to see if they have any statements out or anything. I don't know.
He put a statement out. They are closing.
Yeah.
Well. Listen, one door closes, another door opens, guys.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
He did a lot of good stuff for a long, long time.
He really did. But he lost a lot.
Oh,
He's been in it for a long time.
He's been through a lot.
He has. And he's been in it for a long time. But I did see where they were closing the Polly Klaus Foundation. And
well, I mean, that's a bad, sad thing.
It is a sad thing. It was a great foundation, but they are closing at the end of this year.
So,
well, at least there are others waiting to take, to take on that role.
Right.
We need to focus on the positive side of that.
Right. But I do admire them for keeping that foundation up and running for so long.
Absolutely.
That was another strange case, I mean, never know when these things are going to happen. So it's important for the families and for these the missing, the kids, the adults, the young adults, to just help get them out there.
Agreed. And Mel says today's been crazy on YouTube, unlike any other day, right? This is interesting and refreshing to hear about awareness instead of arguing and misinformation. You're doing a great job. Thank you, and I thank you for that. Guys, this is what it should be about. Okay, I listen. I am guilty just as much as anybody else of seeing something in relation to one of the cases that I've been working on. When I see things that bother me, I speak about it. Okay, just as much as anybody else does. The problem is, and everybody does, and it's okay to have your opinion on things. What happens is everybody gets wrapped up in that tornado of bullshit, and it just spins out of control, and it bounces off everybody. And you know what a tornado does? Everything it touches, it engulfs it, and it keeps grabbing more and more and more and more and more until it's this monstrous thing, and then everything around it's destroyed. That's what happens, guys. It's the same scenario.
Damn, Dago. That was perfect.
We have to be the ones to step outside of that storm and go, whoa, wait a minute. Okay, let's get back to where we're supposed to be. Let's get back to what we're supposed to be doing here. Let's get back to finding these people, these kids. It's okay to have a feeling about something you don't like. It's okay to voice an opinion about it. Don't get stuck on it, folks. That's all I'm saying. Don't get stuck on it. Get away from that tornado before it pulls you in.
Exactly. And we need to get back to being the voice of the victims that don't have a voice, like Maddie. We need
the voice. That's what I said when I started this channel. The voice for the voiceless, guys.
We need to be the voice for the voiceless. We need to be Maddie's voice. We need to be loud and proud for Maddie. We need to be her voice, and we need to make her voice heard as loud as we can.
To address the arguing and misinformation, I feel you, Mel, because it's a little much. Because when that's happening, the facts of the case are gone and the focus is no longer on the person we need to be focused on. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because I agree with that statement and I appreciate that statement too. And Dago, your analogy of what happens is perfect, because that's exactly
what it is. It's exactly what it is, you guys. If you think about it and you break it down, a tornado starts spinning and spinning, and it grabs everything around it and pulls it in and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And as it's doing that, it's destroying everything in its path. That's what it is to me, you guys. That's what this does. That's what these things do to these cases.
Look, nothing but the facts are going to find them. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And when you listen, it's okay. Understand something, you guys. This drives me nuts. It's okay to not have all the information. It's okay to not have the answer. Okay, we're not police officers. We're not law enforcement officials. We're not FBI agents. We're not state police. We're not attorneys. We're not judges. We don't have those degrees, that experience. We are YouTube. We'll just call it what we call it, or what he calls everybody, YouTube creators or investigative reporters, or whatever you want to call us. That's what we do. We bring news to people about these stories to try to bring awareness to the situations, to prevent things happening, to bring people to the understanding of how we can prevent or in the future make people understand things. That's what we're supposed to be doing here.
Yeah, if we can help prevent these kids from going missing to start with, you know, you're not going to be able to stop the bad guys from doing their thing. But if we can educate parents, even, you know, the young adults and things like that, and even like we said during these conversations, maybe there's somebody listening that's going, dang, you know, those really are red flags I'm seeing. I wasn't just thinking that, you know, and it's and it gives somebody a safe space to have to be alone. Because if you're sitting there with your phone listening to something, you're kind of alone with your thoughts and your community, right? So if you're thinking about the conversation, you're thinking about what's happening around you, and maybe it will trigger something, you know. So you never know who you're reaching and who you're helping and who you're helping to bring home.
And if you guys pay attention, which I know you do, we cover such a wide range of these types of deal. There's so many different variations of what we talk about, but it all goes back to the same type of thing, if you understand what I'm saying. So the awareness as we talk about it, and I'm a big person for educating when we talk about these things, because a lot of people don't understand this stuff. I like to learn myself. Every day I learn something, and I'm good with that. When we talk about Sebastian's case, and I go in and I try to explain to you what autism is, the different tiers and levels of autism, and what this is and that, so we can understand what we're looking at, guys. That's what I'm saying. Education within these things is so important. Within these cases, within the variation of the stuff that we look at, it's so important. Okay, that's what we should be doing. That's what we need to remind ourselves that we're sticking to. When you see the drama start to float in, just take a step back. Don't support it.
You
That's
have
all.
you have to drown out the noise. But say, wonder if a kid runs across one of our chats one night, even though they probably shouldn't be here. But what if they do, and they're like, "Well, my friend told me they were going through a similar situation, and maybe I should." I haven't told anyone, but maybe I should tell my mom that they are. So, you know, maybe I should tell my mom because it's not right. Then we've probably helped another child because that, you know, we've probably helped a child. And that's a good
Absolutely.
thing. That's a good thing. Or this is happening to me, So like the
Well,
Melon Soto case, Maddie could have told one of her friends. So wonder if someone tells their friend and they hear us talking and they're like, well, my friend told me this. So, I should tell
a
my
lot of
friend.
times that does happen though when children confide in their friend. There's been a
Right.
lot of cases where that friend has encouraged the friend that told them to go forward, like to the school counselor or to the teacher, and they go with them. Um, a lot of times they do, and luckily, because if you talking to your kid may not only help your kid, but it might help your kid's friend also.
Right.
Because if your child is the one that they confide in, if you're like Elizabeth says, let your kids know. I had the same philosophy as she does. My mom did that. You can come to me literally and tell me anything under the sun. My first reaction is not going to be to blow up and lose my mind.
Right.
That's not my job at that moment. I need to just take a moment, let this settle in. What am I going to do? And how am I going to help you? Can I help you? Those
Yeah.
things,
That
all
thing
that.
that she said, that blew my mind. That's amazing. I love that
Yeah.
whole.
So if
That,
your kid gets if my son's friend confides in him and he comes to me and says, "Hey, mom, my friend told me this," now we can talk about that collectively and work and go do what we got to do to get this kid to come speak out and feel safe to do it. So there's ways to do it without just totally freaking out because sometimes as a parent we overreact and freak out immediately, like when the kid falls down and gets hurt. Like, just run. I don't panic at first because I feel like that'll scare the kid. So I try to keep my
Right.
composure for a few minutes. I'm just not an automatic panicker, I guess.
So if your
Just
son comes to you about a friend and he
mhm.
says, my friend came to me and told me this, then you don't panic. You give his friend a safe place to come talk about it, and then you can go from there.
Yeah.
But you
You
give
know,
his friend a safe place to come talk about it, and then you can evaluate the situation and see where you need to go from there.
absolutely. Absolutely.
well,
Have you guys been following, not to change the subject, but has anybody in here, I know you have, Salty, but has anybody else been following the Gilgo Beach scenario? Rex Harriman? I never say it
Yes,
right.
I need
Yes?
to get in the cellar.
Hurman
Harriman.
and his
I can
cellar.
never say it right. I never could say it. I don't even try.
It took practice. dude, to practice.
I know the first week I saw his name, I called him. How did I say it? They used to laugh at me. My wife.
Horman's what I was like, Horman.
How did I say?
Hewerman. Maybe that's.
I think I said it Hewermans, and she was like, "That's silent." Blah blah. I'm like, whatever. I don't even care. But anyway, there's been some interesting things that have been popping up with this. I don't know if you guys saw the. There's been allegations put out against his daughter at this point. What do you think of that, Salty? What's your take on that?
Did you see the Oh, go ahead, Salty.
Yeah. I've seen other press conferences John Ray's done in this case, and they were, pretty compelling stuff. And this one, it's like, I don't know that girl did anything or knew any or did anything or was involved with anything.
Right.
But I know she's a digital artist, and people took a deeper dive into her Tumblr account and things like that. And there was a lot of pushback for John Ray for doing that, and Dr. Picardo for doing it as well. But personally, I don't know that she was involved in anything, but I wonder what that girl saw growing up.
Oh, absolutely. That's huge. And it makes you wonder what goes on. I asked this because I watched something earlier today that really was interesting to me. You guys know I'm a big Court TV, Vinny person, all that kind of stuff.
Did Vinny find out something new?
Court TV put something out earlier today I thought was kind of interesting. So I thought I'd throw that in.
I think I saw that notification, but I didn't watch it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought it looked kind of interesting. So I thought I'd throw that up here for us tonight to check it out, because I've been watching the little bits and pieces of this case, because when I came into it, I was already overflowed with the other stuff, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to catch up, but I still watch it for my own thing.
John Ray's implication would be family involvement. So
right, absolutely, yes. So I figured we would check this out together, because I didn't get to see the whole thing, and you said you didn't, so that'd be good too. And then anybody in chat, if it's kind of interesting in my opinion. So
yeah, we did a show on this, so this would be like a little follow-up. Cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. All righty, let's check it out.
It's not John Ray's interview. Woo.
Yeah, there's somebody after me. I'm sorry? There's somebody after me.
This is a 13-year case, so as you saw, we have a great deal of information, evidence, photographs, reports.
This case is a case that we're going to try in a courtroom. The press has convicted my client without seeing a shred of evidence.
She had no idea any of this was going on, or the allegations were even, her husband was a suspect.
The charges in the indictment are just allegations, so this is the first step in the process of proving those allegations.
The case of the so-called Long Island Gilgo Beach serial killer is one that's grabbed headlines from the beginning. I mean, even going back to when, at first, all of these victims were found, and then the case went unsolved. And then there was controversy with the police department, some corruption there, and it took forever. But then the case finally broke, and a new task force was able to arrest this man who's been charged now with 6 victims. 6 victims: Megan Waterman, Melissa Bartholomew, Amber Costello, Maureen Barnes, Jessica Taylor, and Sandra Castilla. And 2 more just added. And you don't know how many more he's responsible for. So there's still a lot of interest in this defendant in this case. By the way, he and his attorney have denied all these allegations, as has really his family, who doesn't believe that he is capable of this. So they're the ones on the outside, the family of the accused Long Island killer. So there's been a spotlight on them for many reasons. They're the ones closest to the suspect. They were living with this man in a very small home in a very nice community. We understand that there's a Peacock series that's being produced as this case is progressing that will give us insight down the road, probably more to what they're thinking. And the house that they all lived in may very well be the scene of some of the murders here. So you put all that together, there's a lot of attention on the family. But there's even more attention being put on them now by someone who's been a guest on our show many, many times. And we're going to speak with him right now. Joining us, the attorney representing the family of victim Shannon Gilbert, who still has not been officially connected to this killer, but is the reason that this case has progressed because of her. John Ray is back with us. John, nice to see you tonight.
You too, Vinny.
So you go on social media and all of a sudden.
Sorry.
John Ray is making people talk again. And this one probably is the most controversial thing that you've talked about so far. And you've been talking about the daughter of the suspected Long Island serial killer. And some folks are upset about it. Some folks are really upset about it. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to explain what you were talking about at your last, I guess, press conference that you had, and what is driving what you're doing now.
Okay, well, to lead off, what I'm saying, first of all, is that with the facts and circumstances that are now known, including the various sites that Victoria was looking at on her computer, and certain other things she said, all put together, this whole thing, she is not outside the circle of suspects involved in some way in this case and should be looked at with suspicion and should be further investigated. That's all I've said. Now, I say that, I know there are a lot of people who are angry. These are the people who, they exalt victimhood above all things and don't pay attention to the facts. And that what they're saying is essentially absurd. That is that this girl who stands by her father as we speak, the man who chopped up those girls, who had no regard for them whatsoever, she is somehow not to be spoken about other than as a victim herself, when that's just not the case. So they don't like that. They just want to make her a victim regardless. And so they speak, they say all kinds of terrible things about me. They rage.
No, they do.
I was on here the other night that were screaming and shouting about me the whole time. But I'm not the issue. The facts are and the circumstances are the issue.
So what
we discovered in my team?
If you can go through some of the things that you, and give us like what you found and how it was found and how this is now part of this case or investigation from your perspective.
Okay, well, I assembled a group of people who are really good at diving deep down into the computer, into these programs and seeing what was there. I don't have that capacity nor that skill. So they do it. And what we did, we discovered that Victoria, contrary to the way she's posed her image so far on the in the public, has been looking at certain really awful, ferocious sites containing some of the worst things that humankind can conceive. And these sites they're on a thing called Valira, and this I don't know all the details as to, if you ask me to explain how Valira works and so forth. They show deviant art. They show some of the worst art you can imagine and words that accompany that art. And I've published both of them to the public via my press conference. She's looking at cannibalism. She's looking at people being chopped up, bodies being hacked to pieces. She's looking at people disemboweling women. She's looking at all kinds of things that are what her father appears to have done. That's what she's looking at. And she's looking at these things going back for years before we knew that this man was a killer. So she's no doubt raised as a little girl since kindergarten, when the first murder we know of occurred, up through the years. She is, in that sense, she's a victim of her family in raising her in this disgraceful, disgusting situation that no human can tolerate. That's an atrocity. But once you say that, she's not the same as the victims who were chopped up, who are dead, and who suffered through torture. And she's not the victims of the families who see their little baby and their sister dismembered and left to die like that. She is not that kind of a victim. She stands with the man who did this as we speak. And here's some of the things that she said on July 14th, 2023, when Rex Heuermann was first arraigned. She's on the computer, and there's those who say, oh, you don't know if that's really true, that's her. It could be one of these trolls. It could be a troll, but when you connect the dots, it sure doesn't sound like it's a troll. And here's what she said, quote, Dad will rate my art, unquote. She's counts the, and she's not concerned about that. She'd rather have her art rated at the moment. And then she signs herself. The name she uses is Lisk Daughter, L-I-S-K daughter. Now, that means she's proud of the fact that she's the daughter of the Lisk, and she's admitting, if you understand it, that he's the killer. L-I-S-K stands for Long Island Serial Killer. So this is not the nice person, little victim, sad victim. It's sad what happened to her, but she herself is not developed in that way. And she's never broken with her parents like most of the rest of the world has done as they grow up.
Now, I just want to point, John, I have to point out to our audience, number one, we haven't independently investigated any of this. We are reporting what you are investigating and the allegations that you are making tonight. What I wanted you to do, though, we just have a moment here, because you did mention that we had guests on last time you were on. I want to play one of the things that Bob Macedonio did say, and this is the attorney for the accused killer's wife, and give you an opportunity to respond to what he said.
The more TV time you give him, the more he comes up with. Rex Heuermann is the third suspect that John Ray is accused of committing these crimes. His one and only client, Shannon Gilbert, is not part of the Gilgo Beach homicide victims. It was an accidental death ruled by the Suffolk County Homicide Squad over and over and over again. He's not accepting that. The task force that Ray Tierney has put together in this, exceptional. The work they're doing is exceptional. They've dismissed John Ray as almost irrelevant in this act. So he had his press conference, Rodney Harrison, the former police commissioner. The DA gave a scathing response to that. We have to stop giving him so much airtime. I know it's made good for TV, but he's becoming reckless. He wants my client to sue him.
Okay, John, your response to the accusations from Bob.
This is a public case, these are public cases. I'm on TV because I have information and I represent victims. I represent not only Shannon Gilbert's family, but I represent other victims who have escaped Rex Heuermann, who were taunted and chased by him and managed to survive. For long months, I represented the Jessica Taylor family. So this, the idea that I'm on TV putting out what should be put out, that's what you do when you have a case like this. Just like Mr. Macedonio and Mr. Matev are paid hundreds of thousands of dollars by Peacock to represent their clients and appear on TV. I'm paid zero. I'm doing this for a good cause. They're doing it for the money. And indeed, when we speak about Victoria, she gave up any chance, and I said this at my press conference, of saying that we should consider her as a hapless victim when she took all that money from Peacock to be followed around and to have her persona exposed as she wants it to be. Look at the picture that she first had taken of her when she first met the press. She's standing there in little schoolgirl clothes with a little schoolgirl bag on it and a nice little bun on her hair. But look at the other Victoria, who she herself published it. I published it for you. She's Gothic. There's nothing wrong per se with being Gothic, but don't come and try to fool the public as to what you are, like this little innocent schoolgirl. She wasn't, and she never was. So here's what she also said. When she's the Lisk daughter and she puts out her art, think about this. On the day her father is accused of this atrocious murder of three girls that at the time, Her thought is, check out my art. That's her thought. She scrubbed her. If she's innocent, why did she run right out and hire a lawyer? She didn't need a lawyer at that point before I even was heard on it. And why did she scrub down all her social media? You do that if you have nothing to hide?
John?
Something's really up here.
We're out of time for tonight, but we appreciate you coming on.
Right.
Wanted to understand these accusations that you were making and you know, the motivation behind it. We appreciate your time. We'll speak again, I'm sure, as this case continues to develop. When we come back, we'll hear from the other side. Victoria's attorney, Ves Mitev, who's been with us many times on this, will join us to give his response, his position, and explain you know, his client's perspective on what's going on here. That's next.
One of the most successful true crime TV shows ever.
This is crazy.
How are you holding up? I know you can't talk about the case. How are you holding up?
What you see, right? It is what it is.
How's your children doing?
Not doing that one. Not going there.
The accused Long Island serial killer, that's his wife, who was outside his home. Matt Johnson was there when the story was all breaking about the arrest. He has 2 children, and now here to respond to the allegations made by John Ray, the attorney representing the children of the accused killer. Ves Mitev is back with us. Ves, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Do you want to just respond, or do you want me to give you specific things to respond to? Because I want to give you an opportunity to give you and your client's side of everything that's going on here.
Well, thank you. I think the allegations are just that. They're delusional, they're deranged, you know, and what's alleged without evidence should also be discounted without evidence. And unfortunately, as I said, it's been widely quoted, I mean, this is nothing more than a continued frivolous sideshow by someone with no clients involved in this case. His one and only client was ruled to be a suicide after his press conference last week. I think Sherry Gilbert, the last surviving sister, was on social media distancing herself entirely, saying she did not agree with anything that he was saying. She had no knowledge of the press conference, that, you know, she was done with that attorney and his firm. So again, what do we have here? We have, you know, all these things that he's come up with, the circle of suspicion. Well, the DA deals with the rhombus of evidence, and that evidence, according to the district attorney's office, has explicitly excluded both of my clients as well as Miss Ellerup. And we could say that until we're blue in the face, but apparently it falls on some people's deaf ears, because people that listen to this carnival sideshow, they buy it. And there's been money donated to the GoFundMe that I'm being told now has happened as a result of this. And again, you have zero evidence of any of this. You just heard, you know, I think you just heard him remark about certain art or what have you. I'll say this. Obviously, Victoria is interested in art. She was an art aficionado. She went, you know, she took art classes. She, you know, was two of her favorite artists are Francis Bacon and Hieronymus Bosch, who, of course, his famous painting is the triptych, The Garden of Earthly Delights. And Francis Bacon, you know, if you read anything about him, he dealt in what was called the brutality of fact. And some of his art deals with the exact same things, and it's, you know, that he talks about. But of course, these are two of the most famous artists that ever lived. They're revered. They're studied by art historians. So, you know, to link those somehow is completely reckless. It's defamatory. It's irresponsible. I could go on and on and on, but suffice it to say that nothing of what he has said has any basis in fact whatsoever. If there was any basis in fact, the district attorney, the law enforcement task force that's been tasked with this, not conspirators on the internet, amateur sleuths, cosplaying investigators, people that have no idea what's going on, except for apparently they are all unified by this, you know, almost otherworldly desire to get on TV and get on Reddit and social media and make unfounded claims with no consequence. That's all you have here. So I'm chagrined that I'm even here to respond to this, but that's the response, which is there is no response necessary, because it is a carnival sideshow.
And you talk about social media, the explosion on social media is where the groundswell is. Can you give us an idea of what Victoria's life, day-to-day life is like right now?
Well, once again, she's squarely in the crosshairs of the media spotlight, and now she's being talked about, as if she was a ritualistic, demonic cannibalizer. That's what was said about her at that press conference. And going back till 2023, almost a year, the same drumbeat has been repeating, with respect to her mother as well, by the same attorney who has alleged that they're all part of a criminal conspiracy. He's actually said that. So these are all, again, defamatory statements. They're defamatory per se. They seem only to be made with the intent of getting a lawsuit brought upon this person. But and of course that would only allow it would further engender his ability to sort of occupy the spotlight. So that's not something that my clients are interested in at this point. But all options are on the table. But as far as her everyday life, it is a hard scrambled existence. It is sad. You would not, a lot of talk about her not being a victim, but I couldn't possibly disagree more. She has currently no father. She is obviously being made into an internet pariah by this gentleman and his cohorts completely unfairly before an even ounce of actual evidence has been produced. They live in the same, very small, very upturned house that they've lived in the whole time, and their neighbors all know who they are. And I've said this before on the show, you and I would have crumbled a long time ago, and we would have been swept away, because even waking up in the morning is tough enough on an everyday existence. But to wake up in the morning and not to know whether or not the police are going to raid your house again, not to know whether somebody's going to go on TV in a press conference and accuse you of taking part in demonic rituals without any evidence, not to know when and if your father, if he's ever convicted, or if he's not convicted, what's the the fallout going to be from that? It's unimaginable. And the zinger about the money that's allegedly been given, or the Peacock documentary, I mean, again, that's neither here nor there. That's just, again, it seems to have been made for no other purpose other than to further defame and further impugn Victoria's character, which, again, as far as I'm concerned, it's unimpeachable. That and of Chris, of course, her brother, and they're under the yoke. Okay, there's a heavy yoke that's draped over both these young adults' shoulders, and that is that all of the evidence is stacked against their father. But it's only that. It's in the court of public opinion. There's been no conviction yet, and again, we've maintained that until and if there is that, they're going to continue to put one foot in front of the other and keep going down this very dark path, unfortunately for them. But it is no picnic, Vinny. I would not wish this on anybody, and unfortunately, again, by the mere fact that they exist, they've now been easy targets for this attorney, and again for his cadre of internet sleuths and people that hide behind TV screens and avatars and pseudonyms that feel free to tee off on them with no repercussions.
Ves Mitev, the attorney representing the family of the accused Long Island serial killer. Thank you so much for joining us. Always like to present all perspectives and have an opportunity to respond to what is happening in a large amount on social media. Thanks so much, Ves.
Thank you.
Pretty wild, guys. Pretty wild. I honestly don't know what to think as far as that's concerned at this point, but that's the new stuff.
It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, it's no evidence of anything. It's just accusation.
Right.
It's just. I mean, it's hard with that one, I mean, because there's nothing wrong or illegal about what she was searching and looking at and doing the art and all the things, but
I think it's just circumstance, Salty, because of who her father is and how she grew up. When they see those things, then people's minds are like, well, I mean, I get that side of it.
It's natural. It's going to make me wonder, did the child see something growing up? But you don't have to see that stuff to be attracted to that type of art. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, not at all. Not at all.
There's people out there in the industry, artists. I know a lot of artists out there. Like I said, that they don't. It doesn't mean that that's what was happening. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But it makes you wonder.
It does. That definitely it engages those gears to start turning again about or maybe not. You know what I mean? So I get it, but at the same
Yeah,
time,
and when we did our show, we talked about that because it wasn't like, oh my God, there's evidence that she knew something. It was we're gonna watch this press conference and see. And when he spoke, we were like, oh
mhm.
Jesus, it was a lot. But you also have to know that absolutely that's not any evidence of anything.
No,
In
and
fact,
that's
law enforcement has stood beside him in the past at in another press conference, and he invited them to this one and was waiting on them to get there, and they didn't come. But so I don't know if there's a rift now between them, but this guy did point out one thing that is true. He doesn't have any clients that he's
right,
representing that are victims as of now, because Shannon's death has not been tied to Horman yet. So
right, right. It's
take it
definitely
with a grain of salt. It is what it is, kind of thing with
right.
that,
Like I said, it just makes your mind work a little bit overtime
Mhm.
on some things. And you listen, there's nothing wrong with that, you guys, as long as you sprinkle a little common sense on top of what you're thinking about. It makes it all work out. It does.
Yeah,
So
because that investigation's been pretty thorough, and they did find, you know, they have said that the family was out of town with each one of the murders,
mhm.
the ones that they know of, um, but the wife's hair and a daughter's hair were each found on victims, but that just that's transfer. Okay, there's that transfer DNA, but they were
Exactly.
in the home. These victims did get into his vehicle. They did get into his home, which explains the transfer.
Of course. Of
Because
course.
transfers have to be explained. Don't forget that.
Yep. Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. So, Mom, Miss Silent, what do you think about all this stuff?
I think it was really irresponsible for him to do that.
Yeah.
I don't think he should have ever put that out. I don't care what big of a team you had or how you found it. I believe my opinion is it was very irresponsible to put out. And people, the social media is bad enough as it is. People are crazy. So, this family is already going through enough, whether they
Yep.
support him or not, which we've seen just recently.
Right.
Chad Daybell, his kids supported him and he's innocent and this and that. And then who did we not see at court? They didn't show up to court.
And what do you expect? What do people expect these families to do when they don't know? I mean, these are people's parents and things like that, and these kids don't know sometimes. Like, this was my dad. I'm just supposed to stop being his child. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's hard for these people to make these decisions sometimes.
She may not have known, or she may not have ever saw or a hint of anything.
That's what I was.
Well, if
Right.
they weren't home when these things happened and he did what he did there, because you can't, the way he left these bodies, it wasn't like he killed them and just took them off. There was a lot of things he had to do to prep.
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah, and with them being away from home each time, and there's no direct evidence anywhere in the investigation to tie them to anything.
Agreed.
But I do agree with Mom because it was about the irresponsible part. Now,
Oh, yeah.
when he obviously is only diving into this girl's social media, well, we do that. We can do that. We've done it. We've seen it happen in cases. We're digging into social media. But
Mhm.
so once he did, so where did he get this evidence from? Was it just a dig into social media? It wasn't like he got her devices. He's not law enforcement. So he
Exactly.
wasn't able to get a hold of devices and do searches or search warrant. It wasn't like that. So
He's basically making an assumption again, because this is your daughter, and because this is who you are, then it just must mean your daughter's the same as you, and that's sad.
I don't know if he, I mean, he could have just implied that, what did this what was this girl exposed to her whole life
I mean, it could be
versus,
that too.
but that's not the angle he took.
Right.
And I
Right.
mean,
How
look
welcome,
at what
Pebbles.
we do
Go
here.
ahead, Mom. Yeah.
Look at what we do here. Like, just to
Mhm.
let y'all into a little piece of me. You know, I've been intrigued by serial killers since I was 8 years old.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and I followed everything that Jeffrey Dahmer, every bit I can back to back, like everything. I have
Yep.
a book behind me that is the world's most known.
Yep.
That my sister got me for my birthday but that doesn't mean that, I was raised by a mom who was, full-fledged Southern Baptist, a good woman, never, believe me, she would hardly kill a fly, much less a person. But just because her daughter's his daughter's a monster doesn't mean that she's a monster. Some people are just into the macabre, and and you have like
Look
I
at all of
follow
us
this
here.
chick that's a mortuary. She owned a mortuary, and she has a whole YouTube channel that she does that's all dark and macabre, all of it, and
Right.
that's her whole thing. And that I mean, and look at us. I mean, I've had families send me autopsy photos. I've looked, if the FBI ever got in my computer to look through my computer, I'd probably have them knocking on the door, to be perfectly honest.
I'm saying, please
I
don't
think
look
we'd
at my
all be through
searches.
that. Exactly. We all search. I mean, go to our search bars right now. You're going to see serial killer, murderers.
And I
this,
can agree with, yeah, right? I mean, they would be, our searches are probably scary.
very much so. Yes.
I've thought about it at times, but I agree with Mom, I've always had looking at crime scene photos really doesn't bother me because I'm not looking at it like, I'm looking at it as trying to, in a different way.
The thing is with you, Salty, I already know what you're trying to say. Salty looks at these things. She is transfixed with forensics and the crime scene, everything about a crime scene. She doesn't see it as the horrific stuff that it is. She sees the science behind it, and it's very interesting to her. I'm the same way in a lot of senses, and that's why we do some of the things we do. And when people don't, a lot of people don't see that. They see it, oh my God, that's horrific. Why are you looking at that? Well, the science behind it is so very interesting. And then you think about, like with me, I've always wondered, like serial killers, okay? It's not about who they are or what they did. It's what the hell goes on in their mind that brought them to that point. That is what mesmerizes me. And
That's
all
like
of
with
those,
Mom says that probably for the same reason, eventually you're going to want to know what brought them there.
exactly.
I mean, I've actually sat and watched documentaries about they only had, out of a group of serial killers in a prison, they had one guy come forward and he volunteered. They hooked machines up to his brain and they showed him different pictures and different scenarios to see how his brain would react. Because in all reality, we live in 2024. I could pick my phone up and call somebody in Japan, but we can't tell you what causes that to happen. What changes? What, are you born with it? Is a chemical imbalance? We don't know. We don't know what causes it. We know that the different scenarios, and we can study and we can look at it, but you don't know if it's something it's inherited. You don't know if
If
it's
it was right.
a gene that lays
Exactly.
dormant. Like, we don't know what causes the monsters to do the things that they do. And my channel name
And
is
it's
Mind of Monsters because I am completely intrigued with why. I want to know the why, how, and the when. I want to know, why did it happen? And like,
when did it happen?
I live with
How
it,
did it?
exactly. And I live with it in my own home. I do what I do. I do what I do. That I've done this since I was a little girl. I've looked at all this stuff. Like, this is something that I've always been into, is crimes and why, and the trying to figure out, the brain and how the
mystery.
brain is laid out and what causes somebody to do something like that. And I'll be working on
Absolutely.
cases and ask for my old man's opinion, and he's like, no, don't show me that. I don't want to see it. Oh God, stop right there. I can't listen anymore.
Right.
Because he's not built like we are. We're
Right.
built differently. Like, my brain, I'm like a sponge. I want to know everything that I can know. I want to figure out how it happened, where it happened,
and
what
why.
can I learn from it, and why exactly.
Yeah.
But just because a parent is a serial killer, you can't look at the children, you can't look at the family and think that they're monsters as well. One
No.
good explanation, and chat was discussing her earlier, Carrie. Carrie is a huge advocate.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, big
You
time.
know, Carrie is an amazing person. I interact with Carrie on Twitter. Like she's
Yeah.
a phenomenal person, but
Right.
she has been through so much, and she's actually helped the task force. And you know, when
She did.
she's helping this task force, she was actually able to recall memories where he would take her places, because
Mhm.
that's one of the things that these guys do. They revisit either the crime scene, or they take a treasure or something
right.
from the scenes, and she was able to pinpoint areas and help the task force bring evidence that we didn't have 20 years ago.
Well, she
Right.
was able to, with the drawings that he did, there was some barns
Mhm.
and silos. Because there was this dude, he kept, okay, we went over the Human document on how to kill,
Yeah.
basically. BTK was no different. He
Right.
kept drawings and writings and document all the things he did. But he had these barns and these silos. So they were able to talk, because Carrie was on the attack. There was a task force formed a while back. And there's a couple of people on there that are on Twitter. But anyway, she was on there, but she was able to go, like Mom was explaining, places that he took her to when she was younger that had
Right.
the barns and the silos, which could lead them to locations.
Exactly.
Because there was also drawings that were released of the two. I did a whole thing on it. It was before I was going live, but the girls that he drew that were tied up and whatnot, but they appeared to be in these barns and things, right? So she was able to work with that, and she's also been able to go back into prison and visit him and get things out of him, and she'll talk
Exactly.
about that relationship a little. And you know, it's sad that people do come at her at times for stupid reasons that don't even pertain to anything other than people wanting to show their ass and have drama, but she handles it, does her thing. But yeah, there's something to be said for these families, and because you wonder, how could they not know? Well, Carrie was raised and didn't know.
Exactly, because these people, something.
And
And
this
listen,
man
guys,
worked at a church.
this is yeah, that's the weird thing. Just because these people are serial killers or mass murderers, it doesn't always mean they're bad parents. You know,
The Golden State Killer had a family too. They didn't know.
right? No, nobody knew. That's the thing. I mean, they love their families, you know, and their kids and stuff. Still, some of them. It's just they have
Isn't
this.
it? And that's Mom's name is perfect. The Mind of the Monster, because it takes
It does.
a pretty bad monster to lead that dual life, to be perfect, to be
Absolutely.
normal at home
Yes.
with your wife and kids, but you are secretly this monster.
Exactly. It's crazy. It is
Isn't that
absolutely.
insane?
You think about the like the psychology behind it, and how, like, by day, you know, you're this guy that works in this office and does this, and you're running a bank or something, you know, and every day you do this. You get up, you go to work, you drink your coffee, you kiss your family goodbye, you go to lunch at noon, you finish up your job, you come home at 5 o'clock, you kiss your family, have dinner. When everybody goes to bed, you go out and you murder 5 people. What? It's the psychology behind it is just like, how do you do this the way you do this, you know, without even like missing a beat? You know what I mean? That's what mesmerizes me. It blows my
Mystery.
mind.
I see Mystery's comment here about Melissa Jade. Have I've went in a few times, right? Because I like I said, I don't mind getting into the mind of a serial killer, but I'm having a problem right now getting into the mind of these kid killers or
Mhm.
these child predator types. But you're right, she's been doing a real good deep dive over there into Letitia.
Oh yeah,
And I
this one.
commend her for that. So anybody that's interested in a really good psych deep dive of someone like that, I would
Mhm.
suggest you go check out Melissa's work on that. She's really done outstanding case on Letitia to all the way around.
Yeah,
And for Gannon, being a voice for Gannon.
I
I
watched some
can't
of
with
her stuff.
Letitia.
She's pretty good.
I know, right? I
She's
can't, but
Blood Bowl I can't. Like, after the
Me
trial
neither.
was, I made a promise
Mhm.
to myself, if it wasn't Gannon's face or Gannon's name or Gannon's story, that
Mhm.
I cannot with that woman. I won't. I
Yeah,
used
I have
to,
a hard time with her. That's why I
every
mm-mm,
day, like
mm-mm.
clockwork, and I've got to where I can't. Like, I'm good friends
She's
with Jen, who wrote the book about Gannon's story. Like, she's actually a good friend of mine, and I cannot with I cannot with that woman. I just can't with
yeah,
her.
she's putrid. Like I just don't grasp the. I just don't get it, guy. There's not even
Oh,
any way to
that
formulate
lady
it.
was it just watching her at trial was sickening. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Yeah,
just,
it was
Had my
absolutely
filler by
disgusting.
the time the trial was over. I
I
just
know.
cannot.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't cover that because I couldn't watch that. You guys, it really got to
Oh,
me.
I did because I did it in the name of Gannon, right?
Oh, that makes no
Because
Gannon is
I'm
the
not
reason
going to
I
give
didn't
her
even
that. I'm not going to give her that fucking benefit. I'm sorry for cussing like that, but I'm not going.
That's okay.
I'm not going to do that for her. I want to see her sit there and take what she's going to get, and be forced to sit there and take it. And she can snicker all she wanted to, and write little love notes to her attorney and do it all or whatever. Make her little faces sitting over there. Ain't gonna work.
shove tissues up her nose and oh
Yeah,
my god,
and that's what that's like being the voice through the whole process for these victims or survivors, however you look at them, if they survived or if they were able to get to survival point. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that
I mean, that's
that.
why I watched it, because I wanted to see her go down and to see the shameful way she acted to try to get out of it
Oh my
was
god, I know.
pathetic.
Yeah,
You know,
it was. Like I said, I tried watching it, and I did watch bits and pieces of it. I just had to walk away a lot because I would get angry. I'd be looking at her like, God, you just want to like smack her, and you know what I mean. I was
well,
just
when the anger sets in, you have to know they're fixing to get their justice, right?
yes,
So that's why you watch it, so you can see justice served. Because all too many times we're hearing how justice ain't being served, or they got the wrong guy, or this or that. But when you sit there and you watch it be served, and you
mm-hmm.
watched that trial and you saw the evidence for yourself, and then you made your mind up after you've seen all the evidence, then you see justice served.
Sure, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Welcome, Pebbles. It's good to see you tonight, dear. Yeah, I can agree with that wholeheartedly. Absolutely. I think Kimber fell asleep on us, and she's muted just in case she snores, so we're good. No,
Kimberfoot, come on.
no Kimberfoot tonight. I guess we'll be okay.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I'm gonna have to jump down and get to bed myself. I got a long day
yeah,
tomorrow.
it's breaking 2 o'clock. Mom's got to work, and Kimber's sleeping, and I'm exhausted. So I think we're gonna bring her to a close. And I thank you. That was an amazing episode. I loved that, Salty. Thank you for putting that out there for us to
Oh,
play
you're
on.
welcome.
It
As
was
soon as
really
I
good.
saw it, I thought about you. I was like, oh, I got to send this to Dago right now. And I think I did it right after I saw it.
Yeah, it was great, and I appreciate you guys being in here and supporting that as well. I was watching everybody's reactions, and everybody was really, like,
Yes.
really impressed with Elizabeth. She's, like I said, she is just amazing to me. The things that she's overcome, and becoming who she has become, it's just amazing. And
She gives you hope, right? 9
absolutely,
months later,
absolutely.
she was found. And now look at her today. And so it gives you hope for the ones that are out there right now missing, that we
Yes,
should still be looking for versus other things.
100%, and that is what we need to fight and push forward with, everybody. Like I said, so.
And Mom, I didn't get a chance to thank you earlier, or Dago, both of you guys for coming up on my panel earlier and sitting through the read with us. Like, I'm gonna take a break tomorrow night, I think, because I do have a really long day tomorrow, and then we'll pick back up over the weekend with it. But I'll let you guys know.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Yes,
Oh
Salty,
yeah.
thank you so much. Guys, I will be finishing up the little mini series I was running on Summer Wells tomorrow to refresh the case, to bring it back. It's been 3 years now with absolutely nothing. And I just kind of wanted to reheat that case and warm it back up to the public and let everybody see it and remind everybody that little Summer is still out there somewhere. I'm hoping, and that we can maybe bring it back and maybe bring her home at some point. And of course, guys, absolutely, Leslie. Of course, Sebastian is still out there, as are so many more children that are out there that are missing, that need seen and talked about every day, guys. So again,
And can I just add to that, since y'all,
yeah,
Sebastian,
absolutely.
just keep in mind how Tanya's case unfolded and how she was befriended. Just, you know,
Absolutely.
we cannot ever discount that someone came into that neighborhood and took that child.
1,000,000%.
And we
That's
need to
right.
make sure we keep his face out there. So if that happened, it can be seen.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That is fact. Absolutely. And you guys are all amazing for supporting that the way you do every single day. And I appreciate you all so very much. Again, there is the link to Salty's channel, guys. I really would love to see you guys there when she brings the next episode of this forth. It's really interesting to hear this read from these documents. It really brings it to perspective. It does. So again, just stay tuned and look for those notifications. Hopefully they come out. If not, I will be talking about it as often as I know about it, because I really want to support it as well. Her and Miss Kimber doing what they do, I think, is amazing. And of course, the amazing Mind of Monsters up here, the things that she does every single time she goes live, and the things she advocates for is just beyond amazing. So please check out that channel as well, guys. You will never ever, you guys will never be disappointed at all with any of these things. So please go check it out. Subscribe to these links that we drop and do what we can do, folks. That's all we can say. Mom, thank you so much for joining me again. Kimber, I hope you sleep well.
Thank you for having me.
Always,
Kimber done
always.
backed out on us again.
Right. It's an honor to have all of you here with us all the time. I appreciate you ladies so very much and everything you do. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
Thanks, chat. Have a good night.
Yes,
Good night,
everybody.
everybody.
Guys, don't forget to love yourselves and love each other. Please don't change a thing about who you are, because you guys are just amazing, and I appreciate each and every one of you so very much. And I will see you all so very soon, guys. Much love to you all. Good night, and God bless. Bye-bye, folks. Thank you.